A millionaire buys an abandoned house and stumbles upon a letter that unveils a dark secret. When he acquired the forgotten property, he never imagined that during renovations he would uncover a letter hidden for decades. Its contents, steeped in mystery, seemed to carry the weight of a shadowy past, linking crimes and family secrets that had never come to light. The millionaire suddenly found himself wrapped up in a story that felt like the plot of a movie, only this one was terrifyingly real. As he opened the envelope, the words inside deeply unsettled his perception of the place. More than just simple phrases, the letter seemed like a confession, a cry for help, and at the same time, a warning to anyone daring to delve into what had been hidden there. But who wrote this message, and why was it concealed so carefully? These questions haunted him, driving him to chase clues that would plunge him deeper and deeper into the mystery. This house, seemingly abandoned, held far more than peeling walls and decaying furniture. It was a stage for unresolved stories, tangled intrigues, and tragedies that had been forgotten or deliberately erased. What began as a whim for the millionaire quickly turned into something much greater, an investigation into a dark secret that could change not just the story of the house, but an entire lineage. The letter was just the beginning. Its contents offered more than answers. They provided hints leading to even more questions, as if someone had designed a puzzle for the future to solve. And the millionaire, now at the center of this unfolding drama, realized that uncovering the truth behind those words would be harder and more dangerous than he ever imagined. The abandoned house, located in a remote area and surrounded by stories of mystery, drew the millionaire for reasons far beyond its decaying appearance. It bore the reputation of being a historic landmark in the region, a symbol of power for a family that had vanished decades ago without explanation. Neglect had turned the property into a haunting scene, with doors that creaked at the slightest touch and walls lined with cracks that seemed to narrate their own version of events. For him, purchasing the estate was more than an investment. It was a chance to rewrite his own story. This millionaire was no ordinary buyer. He had a peculiar fascination with places others deemed cursed or problematic. When he heard about this house, his curiosity was immediately piqued. Rumors suggested the family who had lived there was entangled in mysterious dealings, and tragic events had unfolded just before the property was abandoned. Yet, with no concrete details available, the house had become a subject of hushed whispers and speculation. He knew that buying it meant facing more than just renovations. It meant confronting the lingering ghosts of its dark history. The turning point came during the first few days of renovation. Amid the debris, creaking floors, and an almost palpable heaviness in the air, something unusual caught the attention of one of the workers. A small opening in the floor of the main hall. Inside, it lay a sealed envelope, carefully hidden as if someone, decades ago, had intentionally concealed something of great importance. When it was handed to the millionaire, a wave of unease washed over him, though he couldn't quite explain why. That simple piece of paper seemed to hold something far deeper than he could imagine. Opening the envelope was a moment fraught with tension. The words, written in an old, steady hand, carried messages heavy with emotion. The first sentence read, "If you are reading this, know that this house is not what it seems." The millionaire immediately understood he was holding something far more significant than a mere family secret. He didn't yet know what it all meant, but he could feel he had crossed an invisible line, stepping into a realm where the past and present were destined to collide in a way that was both perilous and irreversible. Upon opening the letter, the first thing that stood out was the almost desperate tone of its words. "This place holds the sins of our family. The truth must never come to light, or everything will be lost." This opening line, written in handwriting that appeared steady yet betrayed the haste of the writer, sent a shiver through him. The millionaire read the words with a mix of curiosity and unease, feeling as though he were intruding on something deeply personal, something never meant to be uncovered by unfamiliar eyes. The letter was no longer just a discovery. It was a key to an ancient mystery. As he read on, the letter began to recount events that teetered on the edge of reality and absurdity. There were mentions of secret meetings held in the house, where significant decisions were made far from the prying eyes of the town. "Those who dare seek the truth will face irreversible consequences," another passage declared, reading more like a threat than a warning. Names, dates, and places cited in the text directly connected to local folklore, tales of disappearances, tragedies, and conflicts that had never been fully explained. The millionaire began to sense that the letter hinted at an internal family feud. "The greatest enemy of a family often lies within it," one cryptic line stated, leaving him pondering the purpose of the warning. Was it a confession, a cry for help, or simply an attempt to instill fear in whoever found it? He knew that understanding the meaning behind the words would require more than just reading. He needed to dig into the historical context and records of the family who once lived there, a challenge the letter itself seemed to be urging him toward. As he connected the letter's details with the sparse information he already had about the house's history, the millionaire began to realize the stakes were far higher than they appeared. The family that lived there wasn't just influential, they were targets of envy, persecution, and rumors that could ruin reputations. Everything pointed to a moment when the internal struggle for power and wealth reached a breaking point, and the letter appeared to be the last desperate attempt of someone to either shield or expose a secret that had haunted generations. But the most unsettling passage lay at the end. If you've read this far, know that you now bear the weight of this story. The past does not forgive, and the consequences are closer than you think. This sentence, more than any other, made the millionaire realize that he wasn't merely unraveling an ancient mystery. He had become part of it, and with each new detail, it became clear that the questions would be far harder to answer than he had ever anticipated. Determined to uncover the truth behind the letter, the millionaire launched an exhaustive investigation. He began with the basics: local historical records, old newspapers, and even accounts from elderly residents. It didn't take long to find information that corroborated the letter's contents. The family who had lived in the house was both powerful and influential, but surrounded by controversy. The patriarch, known for his wealth and enigmatic personality, had died under suspicious circumstances, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions and an inheritance that split his descendants into an apparently endless feud. In the archives, he unearthed witness accounts from people who had worked in the house. Many spoke of unexplained occurrences, noises in the dead of night, objects mysteriously disappearing, and the most chilling, a maid who swore she had seen a secret meeting taking place in the basement even after the family had vacated the property. While these stories initially seemed exaggerated or fabricated, they started to make sense when aligned with the letter's contents. It became clear that something within the house had always been fiercely guarded or concealed with an almost desperate vigilance. As the investigation progressed, the millionaire uncovered a pattern that left him deeply unsettled. Every date mentioned in the letter coincided with a moment of crisis for the family. One of the clearest examples was a date linked to the disappearance of one of the heirs, a case that had never been solved. He also found records of fierce disputes over the ownership of the house, including lawsuits and claims that the property was cursed by the patriarch's poor decisions. The idea that the house was more a symbol of destruction than a home began to weigh heavily on him. The most shocking discovery, however, was a nearly erased entry in a municipal inventory ledger. Among the family's declared assets was a mention of a hidden safe within the house, its contents never disclosed. This reignited his suspicion that the letter wasn't merely a warning, it was a deliberate clue pointing to something much larger. The millionaire intensified his search, scouring the house for signs that the safe might still be there, buried beneath layers of debris and decades of neglect. As the pieces of the puzzle came together, the family's story grew even more complex. The millionaire realized he wasn't just dealing with tales of betrayal and conflict, he was touching on something that seemed to transcend time, as though the house itself had become a living character, bearing witness to and preserving the secrets of all who had passed through its doors. He understood that moving forward wouldn't just mean uncovering the truth, it would risk reigniting the same conflicts that had led to the family's downfall. And the most haunting question still lingered. If the safe truly existed, what could it possibly reveal? As he continued his search for the mentioned safe, the millionaire finally discovered a hidden compartment behind a false wall in the basement. Inside, he found a collection of old documents and a small box secured with a rusty lock. The contents of the papers confirmed his suspicions. The family had fallen victim to an internal betrayal. Among personal letters and financial records, it became clear that one of the family members had orchestrated a plan to seize the entire inheritance, even if it meant harming their own relatives. When the box was finally opened, it revealed items that deepened the mystery further. Among them was a diary belonging to the family patriarch. In it, he detailed his suspicions of conspiracy within the household, mentioning the names of children and relatives who might have been involved. The most chilling entry, however, was his final note. "I trusted the wrong person. The poison is already at the table, and tomorrow there may be no turning back." The millionaire realized that the patriarch's death, long thought to be an accident, was likely a carefully planned murder. As he pored over the documents, an even more disturbing truth emerged. The internal betrayal wasn't merely about inheritance or power. It involved a much larger secret the family had desperately tried to conceal. Some letters alluded to an event outside the house, something that, if revealed, could forever tarnish the family's name. The narrative suggested that this secret had repercussions so severe that it had to be buried alongside the house's history. But why had someone left behind so many clues instead of destroying everything? The millionaire concluded that the original letter he had found was more than just a warning. It was both a plea and a caution, not only for whoever stumbled upon it, but for anyone attempting to unearth the family's dark past. Now, at the center of a story carrying the weight of betrayal, mistrust, and destruction, the millionaire couldn't shake the letter's final line. "If you've read this far, you're involved now. Trust no one around you." The truth was clear yet terrifying. The past was still alive, and the consequences of his discoveries could reach far beyond what he had anticipated. After piecing together the puzzle, the millionaire decided that the best choice was to keep the secret buried. He realized that exposing the truth wouldn't just obliterate the last remnants of the family's story, but could also lead to unpredictable repercussions for himself. The house, its mystery solved, remained a symbol of family secrets that were never meant to be uncovered. Yet, the discoveries served as a stark reminder that even the most forgotten places can harbor dark histories, shaping the present in ways we might never expect. The decision to preserve silence, however, left an open-ended question. How far would you go to uncover the truth, knowing it might entangle you in something far beyond your control? And if you were in his place, would you face the consequences of opening a door to the past, or would you choose to leave it closed? This reflection invites us to consider the choices we make when confronted with secrets and mysteries, and the weight they carry for the future.